Well, welcome in, everybody. I'm Kevin Davis, and this is Eric, my buddy, the caveman, and we are in his cave,
Yes.
which is pretty cool. We're in person. We're doing a cigar show. As you can see, we both got our cigars. We're going to light up here in just a minute. I got an American one because, of course, we are in America. So,
Brazil, just to be strange, I guess.
We're also smoking scotch. We're not going to smoke the scotch. We're going to drink the scotch.
We did pregame this.
Yeah, exactly. We're going to smoke the scotch. We got a bunch of topics we want to talk about today, and it's pretty cool to do it in person.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we've never done this in person.
I don't think we've ever.
We haven't done too many shows in person, but it's pretty cool. I hope to do this more actually while I'm here with Eric, with people in Denver, Omaha, etc. So if anyone actually is in the area, wants to do a podcast, let me know. We're not gonna have quite as cool setup. Eric's got a pretty cool setup.
I was gonna say this
cool.
is probably the most ghetto.
It's ghetto, but it's cool. I like it.
The reason we're in the garage is because we're doing the cigars, and our wives don't like smoking in the house. So we're good husbands.
Yeah, sometimes at least. But yeah, if anyone, if you guys obviously want to hit us up in the comment section, let us know how you're feeling today, where you're commenting from, all of that jazz. We're going to talk about papal conclaves. We're going to talk about homeschooling, America, the ordinations in Omaha from a week ago, kind of my impressions from that. It's really kind of cool, as you see with the subject line, the difference between what I just witnessed in Omaha, the true ordinations, and compare that to the fake, the false conclave, which is about to come up. And it makes you really appreciate what we have, and again, we get kind of lambasted as, those state of a contest. Like, well, go to Omaha for ordinations and you're not going to feel bad about things. So I guess since we're here in Eric's garage, and Dominic, thank you. Yes, very caveman-esque. I like it though, isn't it? This is a cool backdrop. You got the blue car, you got the ping pong table, the kids' bikes. Truly Catholic family. We're broadcasting on the Catholic Family Podcast and on the Traditionalist because why not? I don't really have a reason why and why not. But already 23 of you here, so we appreciate it. So Eric, I don't know, while I light up the cigar, I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I was just curious. So you just came from. Yeah, this is a lighter.
Eric's got all this tech stuff. I'm like, what is this thing?
Yeah, there you go. So then pull down on this.
Pull down on it.
Yeah,
all
and
right.
It shoots out quite far, so don't burn yourself. There you go. So you just came from Omaha. You drove out here to spend some time in the great state of Colorado. What were the ordinations like? Like, do you have any major takeaways or thoughts from it?
Well, there were 500 people approximately attending.
500 people in that church?
500 people in the church, a lot of people in the basement, 60 people in the choir loft. 4 priests were ordained, 2 of them from Austria, 1 from Kentucky, 1 from Michigan originally. One of them is a religious, so he is Father Martin Sentman. He is an official CMRI member. Got to make sure my cigar is actually going here. And the 2 Trauner fathers who are good friends of ours. That's a big reason why we came this early. We intended to come we have a family reunion in June. We wanted to go to that and the ordinations. It just happened the ordinations were earlier than ever. They're the earliest ordinations I think they've ever had, which was a bit of a little bit of a hardship, but it also meant that we got to spend extra time with friends here in Colorado and going back to Omaha. So pretty cool. But the ordinations in general, I mean, just the amount of people there, the amount of people who know each other from different places, the amount of people who see here, Brenda Calicote, I met her in Omaha. It was really remarkable having so many people come up to me and say, "Hi, Kevin." I'm like, "Hi." Hi, buddy. But it was great. It was really cool. Again, Brenda, I met you. And it was a really cool experience. But of course, most of all, just if anyone's never gone to ordinations, we hope, God willing, there will be another ordinations of 2 to 4 priests. Go for it. I got to let mine. You go first. 2 to 4 priests next May, I believe, or April, sometime next spring. Again, with God's will. So if anyone hasn't done it, I'm sure Brenda would tell you the same. Dominic too, who is in the comment section. It is really a wonderful experience that you should do once in your lifetime. You've never been?
So I have been to ordinations. This was back in 2012. I think Father Borja, his ordinations. I forget who he was ordained with, but it's something that
I think he was by himself. I think
was he by himself?
Yeah.
That explains it. Mm-hmm. It's really cool to see. And like you said, it's an interesting contrast between that and what we see in the Vatican and what we will be seeing in the Vatican starting in just a couple of days here, huh?
And some of the quotes have been pretty wild. I just saw one of the cardinals come out and say, there's absolutely no chance that we will diverge from the Pope Francis pontificate, and we will continue his mission and his goals. And you just see the conservative Novus Ordos going, oh no, it's bad. And I mean, and it's something that you see just in general, and you'll see some of the traditional sides of the Novus Ordo have many children, and it's the ones who are going to Latin Mass, and they're trying to be Catholic and really trying to live their Catholic faith, which we can certainly sympathize and empathize with. But again, you go to the ordinations here in Omaha, and people always say, oh, the CMRI or the Sede Vacantis, they're a bunch of kind of losers and do everything the easy way. And I tell you, you go out there and you see 35 nuns all standing together, 40 priests up on the altar at the same time. This ain't a joke. And this is something, I think Francis saw it. I think he commented on it, a couple months ago about calling us mushrooms. I don't know if you remember that. Call us little mushrooms that sprout up in the world of, something like that.
Like Sedes in particular,
Sedes,
not the CMRI.
Sedes, yeah, Sede Vacantis. And so I think they're scared to death of us because we're the one thing, right? Because everyone else just says, okay, we're gonna hold the line at some point, right? And Sedes like, no, you're not the Pope. So, and
well, that was one of Chesterton's proofs of Catholicism, right? When he started out nothing, he became Protestant, and he became Catholic. He said he looked around at all the different religions in the world, and there was one religion that all the others hated, the Catholic Church. He's like, that's probably the one.
Yeah.
Now we can take that even a step further with Sede Vacantism. What's the one thing that even the Novus Ordoites can't stand?
Exactly.
They're okay with if you're a Jew, they're okay if you're a Muslim.
Yeah.
But if you're a Sede Vacantist.
Well, and they've done a really good job of turning that word into something bad, and fairly so. It's not a good word. It's a bad thing. We don't have a Pope. So that's a bad situation. We all agree with that. So really what we are is we're traditional Catholics who hold to the true faith as it's been for thousands of years. So we just say, hey, what has happened in the last 60 years? We cannot continue with that. I see someone commenting, no super chats. No, we have not set that up yet. If you want to, you can support us on Patreon. You can give us $2 a month on Patreon. That'd be awesome. So thank you for that, DJ Grundlebug. MK Ultra Pangolin. I like this. Hi, gents. This is better than Taylor Marshall's grifting just a dad with a microphone. Yeah, this is outstanding. 2 Sede dads in a garage with a microphone. And we only have one microphone. It's pretty cool, though. Everyone let us know what the sound is like. We tested it a little bit beforehand, but we had screaming babies in the background. It was a little hard to do the testing. We have a combined 9 children in the house over here. So shout out to the moms right now doing the tough work out there. You found super chats. Do we have super chats? Be careful. Make sure it's our super chats. Maybe you're accidentally going to super chat Taylor Marshall. We don't want to do that.
No, we don't want to do that.
But it's pretty interesting with the conclave. I don't know if we got a lot of comments coming in, guys. This is awesome. What are your feelings, I guess, in general?
My feelings is at a high level. My hope is that the best case scenario for the true faith is that they elect another Francis. Not Francis II, but someone who's super liberal, super progressive, super not obviously Catholic. Because I think the worst thing that could happen is we get another Benedict.
Yeah.
Another Benedict XVI, who's, the Latin Mass is good, but I'll just sprinkle in the heresy here and there, right?
Yeah.
The less the modern church in Rome looks like the traditional Catholic Church, the better. So, I know there's a lot of people who are, this cardinal would be great because he's very conservative.
Sarah, Pizza Bella.
And it's like, no, you don't want that. You actually want someone who shows their true colors.
So what if, I agree with you. That's my, I'd say two GBP. Thank you, Grundlebug.
Yeah,
I think that's
that up here.
Pounds, right? Is that British? Great Britain pounds, I think. So we have someone from Britain listening, I think. It's an interesting question, and that's my thought is going to be someone like Tagle. It's going to be someone very progressive. Why would it not be? Yeah,
Tagle would be the best.
MK Ultra, exactly my thoughts. Because I think exactly as Eric says, that's the most likely, and that's the most likely way that I said this over and over in person. Anyone who talked to me at the ordinations, I talked about this, that I really think that they're going to do Tagle, someone like that, maybe not him, but someone who's progressive. And I really think that you're going to have your semi-trads, maybe not the SSPX, but the FSSP and these other groups are going to we can't do this. We can't do it for 20 more years. Now, I know that's the optimistic side. I think you think more that they're just going to be the same.
I have some very dear friends and family. Cheers.
To a true new pope.
Someday.
And to the 4 priests.
Yes.
May they live long and
Cheers
prosper.
to
God bless them. God bless them.
Live long and prosper. No, I have some good friends and close family who have been FSSP for a while now. And I thought back when Benedict was the fake pope, that when they elected Francis, that it was going to be, oh, okay, that'll wake them up. There's no way they fall in. And thing after thing after thing, even Pachamama, everything, all the way up. There's an excuse for it.
Yeah.
And so I just, maybe I'm cynical, but my confidence is low that anything really will cause mass wake-ups for the fraternity or.
So here's my thought. I mean, it's a realistic approach, but I mean, I think someone like Louis Verrecchio, who I think people probably would know on this channel, and a guy I really like, and someone he was an expert on Vatican II. So he was preaching Vatican II, and eventually he came, God's grace brought him to the truth. And he wasn't a big enough voice to bring a lot of people with him. But say Taylor Marshall, right? Let's say Taylor Marshall. Let's say, I don't know. I mean, maybe not Joe Rogan, but he's farther. But someone like that, let's just say Michael Knowles. Someone like these guys. Where I think say Michael Knowles is a good example. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a smart guy, and I think he really does love his Catholic faith. I think he's intellectually honest, and I think he is a guy. I think he might really say, Tagle, really? Maybe. If someone like him or Taylor Marshall, says, hey, we can't do this anymore, maybe that's when you see, a change. And if they do it, maybe you have thousands come. And maybe not. But then I think you'd still have your slow drifting of people, one family at a time into the true, Catholic faith, where they say, I'm not doing this. This guy cannot be Pope. Now, obviously, we think that was with Francis, of course. But maybe they're like, okay, just hoping and praying, okay, maybe the next one. And if it's another liberal, I think they're gonna be like, no, we can't do this. We can't fight this for 20 more years. And I have hope for that. Now there's I don't know if you want to show Father Gecko's
the nice cigars one. No.
Either one. Yeah, that one's right. Father said there was some talk that the last conclave was illegitimate for several different reasons, so Francis wasn't actually a legit pope. Thank you, Father. That's a really good point.
Those were the Benedict.
Yeah, exactly. The
Benedictantists, I think.
Benedictantists.
Really?
I don't know. Either way. Benedict, maybe both. It doesn't matter. And yeah, exactly. And that's a really good point. So that's part of what held people in. Like, yeah, maybe he just isn't actually the pope. It was Benedict. And then Benedict died and no one really still moved. So like, okay, maybe Francis isn't pope. So you actually had people who were sede vacantis in, just in terms of Francis, even of the semi-trad. So I think that obviously we say that it's from 1958 onwards. Pope Pius XII was the last pope, and we have really clear evidence for that. You see that the fruits of Vatican II are very clear. They cannot be the Catholic Church. Thus, the popes cannot be Catholic popes, right? They are teaching a false religion, and that's really clear. To go follow Novus Ordo Watch, CMRI.org, SGG.org. There's a lot of information on the internet that if you're wondering these things, you can do the research. Heck, go and read the papal encyclicals before Vatican II, and then read Vatican II, and you're gonna be like,
night and day.
That's not the same church. It's not the same church. But back to the conclave. I mean, I actually think if you get someone like Sarah or Pizza Bella in Introibo ad altare Dei 2 .blogspot.com, Introibo, you guys probably know him. He just did a write-up last week about some of the potential candidates for the new papacy. Pretty interesting. And, he shows clearly like Sarah and Pizza Balla, they have their issues too. But I do think it would be interesting if one of them or an ultra, say Burke, whatever, one of these guys, I'm not going to be like, oh my goodness, but I'm going to watch. I'm going to be like, hey, let's see. I think they're just going to be Benedict. I agree. I think that's 99% chance. But I do think there's a 1% chance that maybe through the Holy Ghost, through God's grace, one of these men who actually wants to be Catholic, which Francis clearly didn't, and 95% of these men in the conclave do not want to be Catholic. But I do think some of them do. And if some of them do,
Sure, but how does that look, right? At what point, so someone gets elected and they're super conservative and they are super holding to the true faith as we would expect them to. Are they even a valid priest? Like, at what point do they say, well, we need to get all conditionally ordained again or conditionally consecrated, even as bishops? Right? Like, all that has to happen before we can agree that, this is actually a legitimate pope, right?
Right. And I agree. And I think we're a long way from that. Let's be honest. But let's say,
so you think there's a 1% chance of that. It's kind of
the number 1% is high.
Yeah.
That's high. Let's say 0.01. I do think it's not impossible.
No,
I think
it's not.
And I think that like my brother Paul messaged us this morning. We were talking about it kind of in a family group. And he's like, one of the greatest virtues is hope. And I think that's really true. Now, I think our hope obviously is ultimately in heaven, and saving our own souls and the souls of our children. But we also have the hope of the Catholic Church, right? We have the promise. We have the promise of Christ that it will always, it will never fail. And we know then we have to have a pope. So you can have an interregnum, but we have to have a new pope or the end of the world, I suppose, which I just don't buy it. I'm sorry. I don't buy the end of the world right now. I don't. I know many people do. I don't. So I do think you have to have another pope. So there has to be a way to have a pope. Now, I'm not someone who really buys into the thesis, but I get it. I like that they're trying. I like that they're trying to find a way to do it. And I disagree with a lot of what they think. But if you have, let's say, if you have Cardinal Sarah, just use him because he is conservative compared to everyone else. He is, and he says good things, but he's still a heretic, guys. Go and read some of the things he signed on to. They're clearly heresy. They're not Catholic. But okay, let's strongman it. Strongman it. No, strongman it.
Strongman it.
Right, because it's the other side.
Yeah.
Right? Or steelman. It's the other side. Let's give them the every benefit of the doubt. So if you do that and you say, okay, he is going to come in and he's going to say, we're going to burn all the documents of Vatican II. We're gonna go back to the true faith pre-Vatican II. We're going to listen. We're going to whoa.
Yeah, we'll pay attention. Yeah.
But this is the difference. Like the thesis would, I think, I don't want to put words in their mouths, but I think they would say he has the position. He has then kind of that right in a way to become pope. And if he burns all the documents, then they would accept him. Now, I think we would more agree that he then would have to be, of course, reconsecrated and reordained. So he doesn't have to be elected because the pope does not have to be a priest.
The requirements, right? For
exactly.
A
man
and Catholic, baptized Catholic,
right,
and a man.
Right. Exactly. So which is funny.
Pope Kevin.
Side note, exactly. Hey, you can be married. Side note, there was a movie called The Conclave. People probably heard about it. And I guess apparently, ridiculous movie. And apparently the twist ending is that the Pope was actually a transgender woman, which, yeah, it's Hollywood. I get it. But it's like, well, then he wouldn't be Pope if you're a woman. So it's like literally like their whole twist. Oh my goodness, what a twist ending. Well, he's actually not Pope because she's not Pope because that is the one of two requirements. You have to be a man. So sorry, ladies. Yeah, go for it. I'm glad you're reading them.
Yeah.
Sorry, Bill.
Cheers, Bill.
Yeah, cheers, Bill. We'll smoke one for you. This is for Bill. And we're drinking Loch Lomond Scotch. So anyone wondering, Father Gecko, we wish you could be here. That would be great. We really have to do a podcast someday, all of us together.
Travel
that would
to
be amazing.
Arkansas.
Or Father's got to come here. Come on, Father. You're not busy. Come on, Father. Just do the 15-hour drive out to Colorado. You're not a big deal.
Like 12.
We'd love it though. Is it 12? Well, then it's 12 hours, Father. Come on, you can be here tomorrow. But no, I mean, I think what I like right now, I think we shouldn't just shut down every idea. I mean, that's kind of my thoughts. Like, there is this tiny, tiny, tiny bit of hope that somehow a conservative gets in because if you get someone who does, like Sarah, I don't want to judge anyone's intentions. We can't really, but through his actions, it seems like he does actually want to be Catholic. Mm-hmm. Now, he's not. I don't think he is. I don't think he's Catholic because he's a heretic. He signed heretical documents. But if he really wants to, and he actually does become Pope elect, I'd pay attention. Mm-hmm. I'd be like, okay, I'm going to be following Bishop Sanborn's accounts real closely because I mean, I don't think that does not give him the papacy. But if Sarah is then admitted by the Universal Catholic Church, let's say that's Bishop Sanborn, Bishop Avernus, whatever that means. And that's a hard thing to say what that means. But if he is accepted, he would be Pope, but then he would have to be
You'd have
ordained
to have
and consecrated, I guess. Yeah. But I mean, what do you know? Because it's a really tough question because we don't really know. It's never happened in the church. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of above my pay grade, but it'd be interesting. But honestly, I think it's gonna be a Toglay.
I'm leaning towards the funny comments right now.
Oh boy. Yeah, honestly, Toglay. I mean, I think it's one of these guys who truly is a fruit bag. You know what I mean? And I think if it is a fruit bag, same thing. If it's one of these fruitcakes, then I think that's when you're going to see. That's my actually kind of optimistic hope. And I mean, someone's saying that it could be just collegiality. They're just going to say we don't actually need a pope anymore. We're going to rule from the bishops, which that's what they believe. So why wouldn't they do it? And if they do that, bring it. I mean, guys, I'm really serious. Everyone watching right now, if they elect a liberal, which is likely, really likely, we need to hammer the internet with true Catholic material. And I mean, as much as we can. So we need to find every best, article, sermon, etc., and just flood the internet, because there's going to be a lot of people saying, not again. And this is coming, guys. This is a couple of weeks. So, I mean, anyone who has time, go out there and scour the internet. Again, cmright.org, RCI. I always forget Roman Catholic Institute. I always forget their website. Sorry, guys. SGG, Novus Ordo Watch, aka Catholic.com. Go and find really good articles and be ready to pump them out. And heck, I would give addresses to Catholic churches, or give websites where people can find these priests, because they're going to be coming.
Yeah. You keep getting out because you're talking so much, which is good, because I don't like to talk that much.
I'm talking too much.
So what I'm going to tell you is, burn the crap out of it. You got to get it nice and toasty.
All right. I want to burn the crap out.
So give it toasty before even puffing. Just burn it, and then do 4 or 5 really strong draws. That should get it going. There you go. You're good.
You can either talk or smoke a pipe. Good.
I'm going to try to see if I can.
I thought you were going to like pro-star cigars.
No.
Good.
Yeah. So what else? So we're talking.
Make the Pope Catholic again. I like it, Dominic. I got to shout out Dominic. Dominic, you got to share your Etsy page. We're finally up with traditionalist material. So we have T-shirts and hoodies. They're awesome. We ordered them to Omaha. Unfortunately, they didn't quite get there in time before we left. I think they're probably there now. So we'll get them when I come back to Omaha. They look awesome online. I can't wait to see them in person. So Dominic, share that link if you would, and we'll throw it up on the screen here so everyone can go and get merchandise, because it'll be helping out her and her channel, but of course helping out us as well. So we'll get a little bit of money. So as everyone knows, if you support us, then we can do more stuff. So like, share, subscribe, comment, support us on Patreon. On any of the channels, the Patreon we only have for Catholic Family Podcast at the moment. The more you give us, the more we can do. Someone saying support the IMBC. I love the IMBC. I mean, I've been to many of their masses throughout Europe, and they're great. I've had it's always kind of funny because you always have these online battles. This group doesn't like this group.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, guys. In person, I've never seen it. It doesn't exist. Now, do I wish that the bishops were more united? Yes, 100%. But I've never seen the fruits of that. I've never seen that bad. It's these priests have been super nice. Really a great group of priests in Europe, especially.
Do you know where they're headquartered?
They are in Turin, I think, near Turin, Italy. Nice. Yeah.
Nice.
But their Bishop Stoiber is in Belgium.
Okay.
So they're kind of, so he's the one who does their orders and whatnot. But absolutely wonderful group. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And I say again, the worst thing we could get is a lukewarm pope. Eric mentioned that already.
Lukewarm, I would say the worst thing we could get is a fake conservative like Benedict was, right? So
like Sarah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So Ratzinger, everyone thinks, he's this great bastion of true Catholic thought. Mm-hmm. He was in a suit and tie during the Vatican Councils as a theologian.
True.
So lukewarm, that could be bad, but I would rather have even a lukewarm pope than a pope that intentionally deceives traditionalists.
There's an interesting one from St. Anthony.
Yeah, should we do that one?
Yeah, and this is interesting. I mean, everyone has their own thoughts on this. I tend to lean toward the thesis because deep down, I think we know that traditional bishops electing their own pope seems odd.
Conclavism, yeah.
I disagree. I mean, I think my question is right now, I'd ask you, St. Anthony, Radtrad, where is the church right now? Where is the church cannot fail? There has to be a hierarchy. Where is it? Is it the Novus Ordo or is it our Catholic bishops? That's the question I'd love you to answer for me. I have my opinion, and I certainly don't think it's heretics in the Vatican.
For me personally, right, I'm not a holder of the thesis, but I am totally fine with the thesis as a thesis.
Right.
As soon as it starts becoming a requirement, like to be a true Catholic, you must believe the thesis because that's the only thing that it can be. That's when it starts getting sketchy for me.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah. And I again, there's no hating on bishops anymore than anyone. It is just my opinion is I think the hierarchy has to exist in the bishops who actually practice the Catholic faith. Mm-hmm. Sorry, it just makes sense to me. I don't see how that hierarchy, how does the church hierarchy actually exist in a group of men who are antithetical to the Catholic faith? I don't see it. I don't see how that could be.
Yeah, this one. Father coming back with the
yeah, exactly. I agree. Exactly. Father Gecko says, I would think non-Catholic's election of a pope is much more odd. That's exactly what I think as well. That's a bigger leap to me. So I mean, I've asked a lot of priests this privately about can the bishops have the power to elect a pope? And most of them wouldn't give an answer, to be honest. But to me, it seems that some of them would say, like the thesis, of course, would say that you cannot. There's no power whatsoever. But many or some have said that the church always gives the power to elect a pope. So the main point being they'd have to be universally selected. So when you talk about conclavism and you think about, oh yeah, well Eric and I, we're going to elect a pope, so we're going to go in the garage. So after this podcast, we're going to elect between the two of us, and our wives are going to say which one wins. No. Of course not. And we know this has happened in the past. No. So that's not my point. My point is not that, do I think there should be a conclave now to elect the Pope? My opinion,
we're too divided.
Absolutely not. No. 100% not. Do I think it is possible? My opinion, yes. I do think my opinion is that there will be a great saint who comes along through God's help, who brings together everyone, unifies everyone and helps them to elect a Pope, like St. Catherine of Siena. And again, my opinion is that gives us parents great responsibility and a great hope that one of our children might be that great saint. We can raise the next St. Catherine of Siena, who can go and say, you go elect a pope, and everyone's going to be okay with it because God shines through this great saint. It's happened in the past. So the question is it legally possible to elect through the bishops? I absolutely believe yes, but we should absolutely not hold a conclave down. Now, what I do think we should do is have the bishops get together and talk things through, even fight, even whatever it's going to take, argue, have them show the unity where they get together and say, we're going to talk it through. We're going to have a round table and we're just going to talk. That's it. No, you don't have to solve anything. How can we solve anything without a pope? But we need to at least talk to form unity, because how can we ever have a conclave? How can we really be the Catholic Church if we're not unified? That's the question. How can we be Catholic if we don't even try for unity? Okay, here's another comment. You want to read that one?
Oh yeah. So just St. Anthony, Rad Padua, Rad Trad. I don't hold to it either. I just lean towards it. So if the traditional bishops got together and elected one, he would support. But clearly the non-thesis bishops have no desire to elect. And you'd probably need their input if you were to get the Catholic Church together, right?
And that's why I think, again, it would have to be a saint, or maybe, let's just say hypothetically, it's Vigano. So Vigano comes and says, I've had a vision from God that we need to hold a conclave and we need to, get together, or let's just say we need to meet together and discuss this issue. If it were me, if I were a Catholic bishop, I'd be like, I'll meet. I'm not going to say we're going to agree on anything, but why wouldn't you? We agree he's a consecrated bishop. The thesis would agree that he has some form of apostolic jurisdiction. So I think it's interesting. So let's go real quickly to Damianus, the first one, yeah. Because this is a little bit back to the original topic of the conclave. He says, Cardinal Mueller said recently that there will be a schism in the church if an Orthodox pope is not elected. Do you think the cardinals would elect another pope? That's a really good question. And it's funny because Mueller is also heretical, like insane. He doesn't believe in the transubstantiation. Like he's not Catholic, but he's also German, who are the most, so he's one of the few German conservatives. And he saying that, I think it's really interesting. I think the Germans are practically already in schism, and this is crazy. So they're practically already schismatic, left of Francis. They are left of Francis, guys. They are more liberal than Francis. They were in schism practically because they're more modern.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and you're going to see more and more of that, especially if we get more liberal fake popes, and eventually maybe even go to the collegiality thing where you don't have a pope at all. That's almost what I hope for, because then the Novus Ordo is now a Protestant sect.
Yeah,
it's easier to see.
Great.
It would be great.
Yeah, and keep in mind, guys, we are not priests, we're not moral theologians. We're just two guys.
Not even literally.
We're not even Taylor Marshall. Yeah, Taylor Marshall. If you're watching, you can pipe in. Go ahead, pipe in. Cigar in.
See what you did
there. So guys, again, if you have any real questions about this, please ask your priest or something. We're just chatting about this. To keep that in mind. Don't go say, hey, Kevin said on a podcast. We're just having a chat.
Bill following up on the rant zinger actually being a lukewarm because he kind of played both sides.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, what do you mean by lukewarm? I suppose. It's
Yeah,
it's an interesting question. I mean, I don't know how many lukewarm people are there anymore. Honestly, I think there are factions. I don't know if lukewarmism is the problem these days. I think there are factions of people who just truly don't believe don't understand what the Catholic Church is. We talked about that earlier privately. Just kind of like they've never really been taught what is the papacy, what is the Catholic Church, what do we actually have to believe. And it's interesting. It's like it's kind of like with the SSPX. It's kind of you were saying earlier. It's like you look at the Arians, the Arian heresy, and you're just kind of it's just one dogma they're against. Everything else is fine. They say the Latin Mass. They do everything right. Everything else is perfectly fine. It's just one dogma. Just everything else is okay. No, they're not Catholic. They're heretical. Now we understand the SPX has not been officially condemned, or technically the modern church, I should say. But come on, we all know that they are teaching even clearer heresy sometimes than
it's a definition of unity too, right? Because one of the things I think you're doing with Catholic Family Podcast that we try to do is unite true Catholics, right? Yep. So we don't like the fact that the Roman Catholic Institute and the CMRI have these issues, or St. Gertrude and the CMRI. You know what I mean? Like it would be great if we were all together.
Totally.
But what would you say? That branch can't extend past sedevacantism, because as soon as you start going to the people and the groups that say, this guy's a valid pope, but we're not going to follow him, or this guy's the valid pope, and we're going to follow just this one heresy, you're no longer Catholic. So you can no longer have that unity of faith.
Right.
Yeah. So
yeah, exactly. Well, what happens, let's say again, best case scenario, let's just say Christ comes down on the earth, or St. Peter, comes on earth and says, this man, let's just say Vigano, just purely hypothetical, just as an example. Vigano should be the next pope, and he's universally selected, and we agree he's the pope.
Not you and I.
Well, let's say right, but we do. Everyone agrees, right? We all. He is elected because he is agreed by the general populace to be pope. That the RNR is going to he's going to say something. This new pope is going to say something, and they're going to be like, no, we don't. Sorry, we don't like that. So let's say he goes back. Let's just say again, hypothetically, he says we're going to go back to the Pius X Holy Week. From Pius X. Not even Pius X. Let's say pre-55. So just again, hypothetical. There are going to be some of these R&Rs who are going to be like, no, we're not. Sorry, we're not going to do it. It's like, he's the Pope. You got it. You got to do it. So there's a lot of these things. There's there's so many different issues.
And I wouldn't even say it's a like a personal failing. It's a not understanding of what the papacy is. And at some level, that's understandable because we haven't had a papacy in 60 years.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you don't, like, the true understanding of a papacy is the Pope is the supreme leader of the church, divinely inspired. You can't say, well, he's right on all these things, but he's wrong on these.
Yep. It's a monarchy. We have to be secure in what the Pope says. Just imagine if we're not. Again, I mean, how can you be? Imagine being a Novus Ordo right now. A Novus Ordite who really truly, and I've seen this. Everyone's seen this on social media. They truly believe they are being persecuted. Like Michael Matt is a good example. He'll say that we are being persecuted. By whom? Not by the Saracens, not by the Arians, by the Pope. They believe they're being persecuted by the Pope. The Pope cannot teach error. He cannot lead people astray. If he does, he cannot be Pope. That's just clear, and it's just common sense. If you have doubt in your Pope, what are you? Think of it this way again, like, okay, if you doubt the Pope and you're listening to Taylor Marshall to tell you what you should believe as a Catholic, you're a Protestant. If you're listening to me and Eric and you're saying, oh, I think I trust Kevin. I trust what Kevin's saying more than Father Smith down the road because Kevin makes a lot of sense. No,
it's Gallicanism.
No, it is. It's exactly. It's like, yeah, it's a good opinion. No, the Pope has to be. And if you see, that is our duty as Catholics. That if you see the Pope is teaching something he cannot, then he can't be Pope. Let's see what this comes. Yeah, do it.
So this is from not a sedevacantist, but curious what is being said. So thank you for joining us. Yeah, welcome. So let's look at the fact that Pius XII has been dead since 58. So that's almost 70 years. Almost 4 generations. Is that an argument for against sedevacantism? Against?
No, I mean, look. Thank you again, Palermo. I think that it's a good point to be hesitant of sedevacantism. Of course, it's terrible. It's horrific. It is a nightmare situation. So I don't blame anyone for being like, can this really be? Can it be? But what is it that Father Cicada said? It said we don't have all the answers, but we don't have contradiction. I think that's something like that. So we don't have the answers. We can't say what the solution is. We can't say that it is good that it's been 70 years without a pope. But what we can say is that the popes who taught clear since 1962, we can say that can't be Catholic because it goes against what was already taught as dogma in the Catholic faith. You can't change these things. You can't go and say, before 1962, the Catholic faith was the one way to heaven, period. And now Francis, JP2, Paul VI, they all go and say there are multiple ways to heaven. That is apostasy. End. So our position is bad. It's confusing.
Yeah, it's terrible. It's like
terrible.
We would love. No one would love a pope
Good
more
grief,
than
guys.
we would.
I drive an hour to mass every single week. I don't want to do that. I would. You know how much I would love to walk down to my parish church. We would all love that. We don't have the easy way. We're not taking the easy way. We're taking the way that is. We're saying, hey, no, we can't do this because it's not Catholic.
And one way to look at it is we are following the 260 popes and their teachings prior to when they started contradicting. So there's a clear point in history when, if you consider the last 6 popes being popes, where the popes suddenly started teaching things that directly contradicted what the previous 260 popes taught. So really, we're following the 260 popes rather than the 6 popes, because you can't follow both. You literally cannot follow both. And it sucks. I would love to have a pope.
Yeah.
But it's the only way to make sense of it. So yeah, that's interesting. No answers, but no contradictions.
I think that I don't know if someone has that quote from Father Cicada. It's a very good quote.
Father Gecko also answering.
It's not an argument against it from Father Gecko. Theologians have said that a long space of time does not prevent partial succession. This is really interesting. I think I just talked maybe with Father Gecko in Omaha about
Perpetual
this, which was perpetual. Sorry. Well, yeah, right. That's a typo from Father. That's another beautiful thing about the Ordinations, guys. Going back to the original topic. You seriously, we went to my family has the big parties usually after, and there were like 20 priests, and it's just, that's so cool. I go and have a chat with Father Gecko, and then go talk with Father Borja, and then have a chat with the Bishop Pivarunas, and then go into it's so good. It's just so amazing. I mean, just anyone, again, if you can go to Ordinations, do it, and I'm sure it's the same in Pennsylvania. It's just incredible. It's an incredible experience as liturgy, but also just being able to meet everyone afterwards. But also, trying to get back to my original train of thought, the perpetual succession. I don't remember my train of thought. I went too far away. It'll come back to me anyway.
I unfortunately don't live in your head.
Why don't you? Oops.
You're good.
We have an ashtray, and I'm dumping it all over Eric's computer.
So we have this nice little thing going back and forth here. So yes, you may not personally believe that, and that's good. If you're a Catholic, you would not believe that there are multiple ways to heaven. But these anti-popes, or who we believe are the anti-popes, have taught that. And so you can't say the Pope was just wrong when he taught that you want every, good Muslim to be a good Muslim, or kissing the Quran like JP2 did, or worshiping Pachamama like Francis did.
Yeah. Like,
it doesn't matter. How do I say this? You may not believe that, but that is what the Vatican is promulgating. And the church cannot promulgate error like that. So therefore, this cannot be the church.
Well, and this is I'm not a brilliant person, but I think that proper terms are subjective and objective belief. So subjectively, we are not judging someone who is a Novus Ordo Catholic and saying they're going to hell or that they're not Catholic. That is a way beyond us. And that's something that I will not judge, because if they are invincibly ignorant, they're just trying to be Catholic.
Baptism of desire is a thing.
Yes. So that I will. I just saw speaking of that, the Diamond Brothers just came out with a video, and I'm in it. Finally, I made a Diamond Brothers video for like 1 second, but
you must be doing.
But they're pretty much saying that it is guaranteed that Francis is in hell, and if you don't believe so, then you are pretty much going to hell. So anyway, this is the Diamond Brothers, but again, I'm losing my train of thought again. Oh man,
shouldn't have
too much scotch.
This.
I guess. Yeah, right.
Father has the Father Cicada quote.
Oh, nice.
Position is not without mysteries, but it's without contradictions.
Mm-hmm. But it's subjective and objective. That's where I was at. So the objective truth is that it cannot. The Novus Ordo cannot be Catholic. It just can't. It cannot be. I mean, again, go and study it yourselves. You don't have to take my word for it. Read the popes before, read them after. Can't be the same church. it can't. Subjectively, each individual case, only God will judge that. I don't judge that. I don't know. I don't know who is truly trying to be Catholic and who is not. That is only up to God. That's the subjective. That's the each individual case. Objectively, I have no problem saying it is not the Catholic Church. Because if it is, I mean, look what has happened. Look at the vocations that have been lost. Look at the people who have left. Look at the fruits of the last 80 years are horrific. It's horrific. And I think we can say that can't be the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church, the Pope cannot lead people into error. I mean, simple enough.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. Any of these are words? Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, so we can keep coming back to sedevacantism if you want. But I wanted to ask you, how has your trip to the United States been? What do you miss the most? Being German now.
I really miss nice people. I mean,
nice people.
And do
explain.
Like on the surface, nice people. So Germans are nice. I love my German friends very sincerely. They're the best people. But on the surface, Germans are very private. They're very closed-lipped. They're very we're just going to keep to ourselves. In America, I was riding an elevator at an Airbnb. Just this guy comes in, 2 floors. We're going 2 floors up, and the guy just like, hey man, how's your day going? I was like genuinely. He actually you could hear it in his voice. It's like, it wasn't just like hi. It was like, hey, how's your day going, man? And it was just the tone of his voice was so nice. It made me feel like, hey, this is a cool place to be. And Americans just have that spirit of friendliness that's awesome. I really love that. I really miss that. The thing that is horrifying to me here is how expensive food is. So that's the other
strange
side.
to me.
It's so wild. We talked about that before. It's like, how is it that Germany, which is the size of Texas, not even, I think, I don't even know. It's not. It's not remotely the size of America. Not even remotely. America is the heartland of the world in many cases, and yet German grocery stores, I can get stuff for at least half the price. At least you go like cheese or something. Sometimes it's like a 10th. Why?
Yeah.
Tell me. I don't get it. It doesn't make any sense,
right? It's not just
sometimes.
Cheap
no,
German brands.
I think sometimes the German brand's even better and cheaper than here. And I talked to my brother about this a couple of years ago with Paul, and he's he's like a master's degree in business, and he was kind of like, yeah, I'm not real sure. Part of it is because Germany doesn't allow monopolies. The businesses had to really compete very strongly against each other. And honestly, I think part of it is that people wouldn't accept it. I think Americans just kind of like, yeah, it's expensive.
Yeah.
But what do you do? I don't know. I don't actually know.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good question. But it is. I mean, that's the downside. But the friendliness of the people is really nice.
Okay.
And sitting in a garage with my buddy, smoking a cigar and doing a podcast.
I was gonna say, so we have the alcohol, we have the tobacco. What are we missing? Don't worry, we're gonna get some of that in before you go back to the.
We'll podcast that live too.
No, we won't.
Okay, it's probably illegal. I'm kidding, guys. I'm kidding. Yes. Yeah, there is that freedom. I mean, I almost everyone I've met has asked me about that, about homeschooling and stuff. And
so let's talk about homeschooling.
Big problem.
So, here in Colorado, being a very liberal state, it's a very blue state. They are very good about homeschooling, particularly down here where we are at now in the shadow of Pikes Peak in Colorado Springs. It's sort of a homeschooling mecca, they call it, in the country. So it's, I don't know. What is homeschooling like in Germany? It's illegal. It's illegal. It's
like
you will
literally
get fined, you will go to jail, or what's the
fined? Maybe jail. They could take your kids. There's a story of a family who took the fines, went to prison, and eventually their kids got taken by the state. By the state.
Wow.
Yeah.
So why do you live in Germany, Kevin? Just kidding.
Good question. Well, but it's funny because our situation. Some of you people may have been to our house. If you've seen it, we have a beautiful house in a really nice situation. And the culture is awesome in so many ways. I mean, the history of Bavaria, and we have a great parish. I mean, there's a lot of it's a beautiful. Bavaria is the nicest place on earth. Colorado is second.
We're the Bavaria of America.
Yeah, in some ways. But Colorado doesn't have the beautiful churches and stuff. It doesn't have the Dirndl and the Lederhosen, and there's things that Colorado doesn't have that Germany has, and it's just Bavaria. They're beautiful, and I love it. And I love the nature and the people. Once you get to know them, are very nice. But the authoritarian state is scary. And you see that, again, another topic we want to talk about, that you see that we just saw that in Washington. So it's not just Germany. You see these authoritarian states come into play here too. where they're just saying that the priests have to, in certain cases, divulge confessions.
They have
to give up what was confessed to them in cases of certain crimes.
And so this is in the state of Washington, right? So Washington State, and it actually got signed by the governor like a couple days ago, right? And we were looking at the whatever you call it, the Novus Ordo Diocese of Spokane put out a statement saying, we will never do this. Like, we will fight and go to jail rather than divulge.
And I think they did that because there were clear statements from Bishop Pivarunas that the CMRI would, of course, not do that. Of course, I mean, we all know that they're not going to do it, but they were going to go public and say, of course, we're never going to do this. Put us in prison if you want. And I think it's possible that the Spokane, it just happens to be the Spokane.
Yeah, why was it the Spokane diocese, not just the Seattle?
Interesting, it's just the Spokane diocese that jumped out in front of the official public statement from the CMRI. Convenient, but it shows you,
but also good, right? You don't want to
sure.
It may have been without good intention, but the fact that they actually said that is a good thing.
Yeah, and they're saying too that it's not just with priests; it's also attorney-client privilege, which is pretty wild. I mean, if you're really, that's one of I think that's in the Constitution, isn't it? Or nearly, at least.
No, I don't know.
I actually don't know.
Not sure.
There's it's a very clear part of the law where the attorney does not have to divulge what his client tells him, which makes sense. I mean, good or bad, I mean, you get why that is the case. And if they're taking that away, you would think at least like your libertarians and stuff are going to go crazy. We'll see. I mean, but this is passed into law. So, again, you look at Germany and its authoritarianism, and it's true, but you see it a little bit here too. And it's kind of the issue. It's like, if we move to America because of politics, what if it's,
well, you wouldn't move to Washington or Colorado.
Sure, but let's say you move to Arkansas, and let's say you move to Arkansas and then it's Kamala Harris in 4 years or whoever, I mean, it's the problem when you make these decisions based on something that could change, that you could really regret that. And, I think that's one of those things. Now the homeschooling one's a big one because that's been around since Hitler. Literally, he's the one who started that law.
Yeah,
the no homeschooling is from Hitler.
That was Hitler.
And so he started that. And it's like,
so maybe was he authoritarian? A bad guy?
No, he's a great guy, actually. Watch my other podcast. Yeah, great. Our hero. Yeah. No, and I'm kidding, guys. Anyone who doesn't watch this channel, I'm very anti-Hitler.
We are very anti-Hitler.
Yes. Here unfortunately, not everybody is, but no, very, very bad guy who made very bad laws because he wanted the state to run. He was, in a lot of ways, he was socialist. I mean, so not quite communist. And that's sort of, he fought the communists. Well, he also allied with them too. I mean, he was a guy who just, don't get me off on Hitler. So sorry. Don't go down the Hitler road.
Sorry.
but yeah, I mean, it is a problem with the homeschooling. I'll fully admit it. And the social structure right now is very good in Germany. I think it's a better quality of life in Germany, my opinion. I have 6 weeks of vacation. I'm right now on parental leave, which is 4 weeks of paid leave from the state. It's nice. That's really nice. That's something that America doesn't offer. There's a lot of free healthcare, practically free.
Nothing is free.
Right.
Who's paying for your healthcare? Yeah,
taxes. But the taxes aren't higher than in the U.S. Not much. They're not much higher. So I really believe the quality of life is still better in Germany. But I also think that has a much higher percentage of going down real quick, because capitalism is built to kind of have fluctuations, but survive. The social, democratic, capitalistic kind of system Germany has, if you don't have people to pay into the tax system, you're done. Like, you're done. You're not. I can't retire. So we have an Airbnb, which is kind of a retirement plan, which means that, when I get older, we have a house that people will come visit, and that will help us survive when we're older. And that makes a lot of sense. I think so we have a good plan for it. But those who don't, even I think the generation above me, they're in trouble because they stopped having babies and they let in illegal immigrants who can't pay.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Let's talk immigration. So the 2024 election kind of turned the corner for America on immigration. Is Germany showing any signs of turning its corner, or is it still open border, letting everyone in?
The new chancellor got elected in November.
What's his name?
Merz, I think. Merz, something like that. He's like a billionaire. He's kind of like Trump in a way. Huh. But he was like, we will shut the borders. We will change Germany. He got elected. And I think someone correct me if I'm wrong. Pretty sure it was 2 days later. Publicly, he said, we will not be changing any of the border policies.
Really?
Yes.
So he got elected kind of saying we're going to change it.
Yes.
Got in and then didn't. So
yes.
We have our issues with Trump, but one of the things is he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do.
I would take Trump
way.
a million times in Germany. Now, he's flawed. He has his issues. I think he actually loves his country and is trying. Now, I think he makes plenty of mistakes, and I think he's not moral. We all agree with that. But I think he loves America. I think the German leadership for the last 20, 25 years, at least, hates Germany. Hates it. They hate it. They hate the people. They hate the culture. They hate Christianity for sure. They want it to burn. And you see that. You see what they've done. Why else would you allow in millions of immigrants without anything? Mm-hmm. They literally say that they're finding this out. They had NGOs, so private companies, going to the border and telling them, you guys can look this up. This is not conspiracy theory. They were telling these male fighting age immigrants to burn their documents, to throw away their documents at the border, because if they got in without their documents, they would be in better shape. They'd be in better condition to get into Germany. So they literally wanted chaos. They want to destroy the entire culture. And you saw it throughout Europe. Fortunately, the tide is kind of stemmed. And honestly, it started in 2016 with Trump. And you saw that people around Europe were like, oh, okay, well, if an American could do it, we can do it too. And so it's changing. But boy, Germany, we had a lot of hope. The AfD, who's kind of the Nazi party, the far right party, they're not
even far
guys,
right.
Their leadership, their leading woman, what's her name, is a lesbian. So yeah, conservatively or socially conservative, no. So, but they wanted to close the border and stuff. So they had some good things, but they got 28%, which is pretty good. But they're a long way out. So the boomers just consistently vote.
Do you think that's what it is?
Yes.
Are the younger generations more right?
Yeah, for sure. Okay. No, factually, again, for sure, much, much, much more, especially men. Now, women haven't quite figured it out here too. Here was better than I expected, actually, with the female vote. But Germany, it's really bad. And the boomers just continually throw our world into disorder because they are cowardly morons. Not all of you, of course. Anyone watching this, I have no doubt you are not one of those.
I didn't think we'd turn off all of your German fans on this podcast.
They're cowards. They're a bunch of cowards. I mean, it's just true. I mean, and any Germans listening would absolutely agree with me. I know they would, because any Germans who are watching this, you're not one of them. Of course not. My friends are not one of these people, but the vast majority are a bunch of cowards who they have the social justice warrior syndrome, and we can't do something that might be kind of considered Nazi. 80 years later, it's absolutely absurd.
Well, there's no Nazi tendencies there. There's no true Nazism, right? It's just that's the moniker they've been given, and because they've just been called that, now they're shying away from it. Like, that's kind of unfortunate.
Well, they don't understand what it is.
Yeah,
that's why they're uneducated.
The
Yeah, exactly. They just don't. Oh, well, CNN said they're Nazis, so they must be Nazis. Well, what is a Nazi? What are you even talking about? Do you even know what Hitler was? He was a socialist. He was a social nationalist. He was just someone who did whatever it took to get power. That's what it was. And so I think they don't understand that. They just say, oh, he was right wing and the AfD's right wing, so it must be bad. Yeah. It's frustrating. So
we had this. It's kind of an old story. I think it's a month and a half ago when J.D. Vance went out to the European Council or whatever and gave that 20-minute speech, basically saying, you guys are killing yourselves. Russia isn't the major problem in Europe right now. It's your immigration policies.
Yeah.
And I think even the German was highlighting the displeasure with Vance's comments. Yeah. What was that like in Germany? Did you
with my friends, it was my friends were yeah. We had a group chat with our men's group in Germany, and someone was like, can he be the president of the world or something can he be the president of Europe? Something like
that's something Antichrist.
Yeah. But they're just tongue in cheek, oh, can we please have this guy as our leader? But I did actually, it was funny. I work as a manager of a grocery store, and the owner, who's my boss, he comes in the next day after that, and he's like, what's the problem with the American government? I mean, are they crazy? Are they just trying to start problems? And do you really understand? And I think that, again, he just done, and they're pretty, I have no problem with my boss, but it's just you can just see, and he's a boomer, he's 60 something, and so he's a boomer. He just doesn't, it's just things that are just not, they don't connect it. They don't quite understand
Are they too
the world.
close? So I forget who I was listening to, but someone said like a lot of this woke stuff actually stemmed from World War II. And the Nazis and like obviously the Holocaust, which was terrible.
Yeah.
No matter how you look at it, it was a terrible thing.
Yes.
And the knee-jerk reaction to, well, we know to make sure this never happens again. So instead, we'll just make everyone, I don't know what you'd call it, wussy.
Yeah.
Make everyone overly sensitive and focus on that just so we don't have this thing happen again. It's a really good example of a good goal done in the wrong way.
Well, I think
do you think that's why the boomers, specifically in Germany, they're closer to that time? Is that like, did they just have more ties to it?
It's a good question. Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think it's cultural. I think Americans still have a manlier society in a way. I mean, I think there's something that the devil, and there's still plenty of feminism here. Don't get me wrong, guys. But there is a more patriotic, there's a more masculine. There is a more masculine spirit here. Like, you want to take my guns, then come get them. You know, that's an American thing. Nowhere in the world that I know of thinks like that, except for America. That is a masculine mentality of bring it. You know, you want to come to here, then you come to me. And that
comes with its issues.
Of course, I'm not saying it's all good. I mean, America also has the most mass murderers and stuff. So there are problems with that. But, you know, I think the feminism is actually even more impacted in say, somewhere like Germany. That I think that it is and when I say feminism, it doesn't mean I'm not saying women are all the problem. It's just that culture, yeah, right. I mean, that's true. I mean, they're also the ones who ate the apple first. So thank you, women. But they're the ones. I mean, so the culture has become female. Look at the Catholic Church. That's not a masculine church. And look at what it was. The church founded by Christ on the apostles, on the disciples, on the popes, on the bishops, on the priests. And of course, there were great nuns. Of course, they have their place. No question. I mean, some of the greatest saints ever were women.
Well, Our Lady, right?
And Our Lady is the greatest person ever born outside of Christ, of course. So it's not like we're denigrating women. But the church in itself should be a masculine church. And then from that, the masculine church leads the feminine. Now it's completely switched in society too, right? We need a masculine society. Men need to be the ones who step up and say, this is what society needs. This is the direction it needs to go. And women should follow. That is the natural, that's why God made us. And it's flipped, right? Since the 1960s.
Look at us. We have to be podcasting from the garage because our wives won't let us smoke.
See the feminism here? We can't even smoke in the basement with our children in there. It's unbelievable. Yeah, no, it is interesting. And I think that I saw someone talking about that feminism being the greatest evil of our time. But I think, again, women see that like, oh, you know, but it's like, yeah, but why? It's because men did nothing. Men, an entire generation of men just like, okay, no, we're just going to go and do nothing and play video games. And, you know, we're going to be a bunch of losers. So the women said, okay, well, then we have to pick it up. Why do we say Susan from the parish council? We don't say James from the parish council because men are lazy. Men don't do any. Men don't actually part of it because
feminism is our fault.
It is. Feminism is our fault. It's men's fault. It's because men did nothing. Men let their culture collapse. Men let Islam come to Europe when they've been fighting for 1,500 years, and the men of the country should have been the ones who stood up and said, Angela Merkel, go and put your head in a ditch somewhere. You know, I mean, you know, just get out of here.
Make me a sandwich.
Make me a sandwich, woman. And you know, and men are the ones who did that. And because we're led by a female society, and feminism means much more emotional rather than logical, the emotions overtook our entire being. The entire society is run by emotion.
So we're seeing a reversal of that. And I mean, honestly, millennials, Gen Z both seem to be reverting back to masculinity, or at least large chunks of them in the United States. Is that also the case in Germany? Or
yes, the Gen Z, the men are figuring it out. They're saying, hey, I don't want this. I don't want to be called a loser. I don't want to be feminine. I want to be a man. I want to you know, do manly things. I want to go on crusade. I want to have faith, true faith that is actually, you know, built on logic and reason, and not just like, oh, I'm going to go, let's go sing Kumbaya. Yeah. I mean, and that's exactly what the Novus Ordo Church, and the Novus Ordo Church literally said we need to change with society in the 1960s. Interesting. Weird coincidence. Anyone in Novus Ordo still listening? Palermo, I see you on there. So, I mean, that's not a coincidence that our society and the Catholic Church all changed at the same time. And that cannot be. It can't be. The Catholic Church has to remain, again, what it was as founded by Christ. And that is absolutely a masculine church.
while we're still on this topic of Germany versus America, just social issues, Dominique asks, so they have a homeless issue in Washington. We have a huge homeless issue in Denver. Is Germany have that?
Germany has almost no homeless people.
And why is that? So what are your...
It's a social system. So again, some parts of the German social system work really well. Everyone has to have insurance no matter what. You cannot not have insurance. The state will give it to you if you need it. And they just don't allow homeless people. It just doesn't happen, like almost at all. Like you almost will. But you'll see crazy people downtown, but the state will come in and say, okay, you can't do this. We'll take care of you. So
what do they take care of?
The problem.
Yeah. So like, where do they go? Do they have insane asylums?
No,
or do they
I think they have some sort of shelters. I think that's a good. I don't know that. Okay. That's a good question. I'm actually not sure, but I'm sure.
But the police and stuff enforce
like
you can't have people living in tents on the street.
Absolutely. And I think again, part of America doesn't do this that we don't want to pay for this. We don't want to pay for all this because we're much more. You're much more capitalistic. You're much more like, hey, it's just not our problem, which. It's not bad. I mean, like I get it. Like I want to say in a way that's better. The German side says we're going to take care of them, but who pays for that? And eventually, no one can pay because we don't have babies. Our generations are going to be gone, and so who's going to pay for the entire system? The system right now, it's pretty good, guys. And I did not expect that when I living in America, going to Germany. I'm like, America first, bro. I mean, like, come on, you guys. You still feel if like you do something like some things Americans do better than anyone else, but other things. I tell you, guys, when you go and have a baby and you don't have a bill afterwards,
someone's paying for it.
Yeah, but I also pay the same taxes I'd pay here, almost. So eventually it's going to collapse. But right now, it's pretty nice. It's pretty nice.
Well, there also has a question on Germany. So you mentioned that the Germans wouldn't stand to pay more for their food, like they wouldn't accept it, while Americans just kind of take it. So which of the two is more masculine?
That's a good question. I mean, maybe in Germany. Maybe. Right? Because Germans are like, hey, no, not going to do it. It's a good question about that. I actually don't even know. Because generally, I would say the American society is more masculine. Generally, that's what my opinion would be because they're much more, we're going to fight this. But the weird thing, I think
we're also a richer country, so we can afford more to deal with it, potentially.
Germany's pretty rich. I don't know. It's a really good question, by the way. Ian and I talk about it. My wife and I talk about it all the time, about why that is. Why is it that these things happen? Why are they different? And we don't really know. I mean, part of it is, I think, regulation, but it's not that simple. It's a really complex issue. But for some reason, Germany has ridiculously affordable groceries.
That's strange.
Yeah, someone who knows.
Here's a good suggestion. I'm okay with it.
Let's ship our homeless to Germany. No, thank you. We have enough Muslims, so we're good. We good. Got the Muslims and then the Ukrainians. So
is that one too personal, or do you want to take a shot at it?
Sure. Yeah. So Thomas said, you said in one of your talks that they don't allow homeschooling in Germany. What are you going to do for school? Thomas, that's a good question. We're not sure. We're working on it. We have a couple options. We live right next to Austria, which does allow. We could maybe rent a house there. It's a good question. We're not sure. I'm still thinking that it's possible. You can just say, hey, I'm an American. Stop me. My wife's not as big of a fan. Again, the fighter. See, that's the masculine. Like, yeah, bring it. Yeah, bring it. I'm an American. Come on.
And my idea is to convert you and bring you back to the States. But
I know. And it would be pretty cool. It would be pretty cool to be able to come over here and smoke cigars and do podcasts. I love both. I mean, I've been in Germany 9 years now, and I really do love it. I mean, but it's always funny because when I think about it, it's like, when I talk about politics or something, or what I feel when I feel something, I feel much more for America than Germany. And that's not really fair. I shouldn't. I know actually I shouldn't.
Yes, it is.
No,
you were born here.
Yeah, but I'm a citizen, or not a citizen technically, but I am more impacted by what is happening in Germany than in America. But I care much more about what happens in America. And so that's more actually emotional. I'm actually more emotionally attached, while rationally, I probably should be more attached to Germany.
This is funny, Commodus. Well done.
Garages in Germany, the same as in this. So I actually don't agree. I have rarely seen 3-car garages in Germany. So I don't know. They exist, but everything's much smaller in Germany. So,
I'm just going to leave this one up for the rest of the podcast.
Move back to the States. Catholic too. Thanks. Yeah, I know. I got people working on me. I've had an aunt praying, I think, daily for that for the last 9 years.
To come back. So,
really? Yeah, of course. Aunt Linda.
Okay.
Yeah. But we'll see. Right now, we're pretty settled, but you never know.
Yeah.
My wife loves the food in Germany. She's a little scared of it here. That's kind of a big topic, honestly, the food.
Speaking of food, what was the
biggest?
one food you told me that you missed more than anything else?
Oh, Mexican.
Mexican food?
Oh, yeah.
What day is it today?
Cinco de Mayo.
Cinco de Mayo! We're going to have some fajitas.
To our Mexican brothers.
Some fajitas and margaritas tonight.
Yes.
How does that sound?
Maybe not margaritas.
I know you don't like tequila.
Coladas. I don't like tequila. Yeah.
Bummer.
What does everyone do for Cinco de Mayo out there? You guys celebrate?
Yeah.
I think they do something in Omaha. They used to do something in Omaha. Yeah, I think so. They definitely do it for Our Lady of Guadalupe.
Okay.
They might do it also for Cinco de Mayo. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Opa. I see some German. My Opa is Ungarn Deutsch from Wetzbrem. Okay, I don't know where that is. Interesting.
Which one?
Either way. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a lot of. Yeah, right. Probably so Ungarn Deutsch. So probably would have been part of the Austro Empire, right? Austro-Hungarian Empire right before World War I. It's really an interesting thing when you look at the history of it. What we see as Germany now, 100 years ago, was very different. I mean, the German Empire, Austrian Empire were very much bigger, much different. I mean, Bavaria was a separate country, I believe, up until World War I. At least up until somewhere in the late 19th century. So again, a very interesting thing that when you go to Germany, you see the dialects are really different. So you go even a couple towns over, they have very different dialects. They have a very different way of speaking, which is pretty interesting. Part of it because they were very different kingdoms.
Everyone is trying to help me here, get you back to the States. So raise your kids where you want them to raise their kids, so you won't be lonely later. Where do you see yourself, not retiring, but growing old and maybe wise?
That's a good
Germany?
question. Right now, probably Germany. But again, with the state of the economy and the societal structure, hard to say. I trust America a bit more than Germany because I think, again, Americans are more fighters than Germans. But right now, again, I think it's better in Germany. I think it's just a better place to raise a young family, in my opinion. I don't have a huge degree, so I don't make a ton of money. So having a semi-low income, not low, but middle, it's just easier. We have more vacation. We can travel to Italy. It's just an easier way to live right now. So, but it'd be nice if we can then maybe retire in America because you make a lot more money here at the end. We'll see.
Where should you be raising your
we'll talk to my wife about it. But I can tell you too. I mean, and we have a really good parish. Actually, we have for Germany a really big young parish, which helps a lot because a lot of the parishes have almost no children, and that is hard.
Yeah.
But it's hard. I mean, it's also one of those things. When you become part of a parish, which we're a big part of it. Do you just leave? Do you just say, nah, I'm not going to fight this fight. You guys can fight it.
Yeah, you see a lot of that even in the States, right?
Yeah.
You have people fleeing from the blue states and going to the red states.
Yeah. If everyone leaves.
I get it, but I'm also like, it's kind of giving up in a way, isn't it? If you just kind of leave them to their own devices.
Yeah, exactly.
And also you look at like California, like Ronald Reagan came from California. It was a red state in the 80s, and now it's as blue can be.
Yeah. Things
change.
Yeah.
You never know what the political map looks like in the States anyway in 30 years.
Exactly. And so if you move to Arkansas, say with Father Gecko, and right now I think that'd be great because I think they're pretty conservative. But what if that changes? What if you move there, you move your whole family and you're settled then in Arkansas, and then they have a total libtard Democrat governor? Then what? Then and like my parents did that once. They moved to a school because they loved the priest and they loved the sisters. And I think the next year, the priest and the sisters all left. And they liked the ones who came next. I don't mean that they didn't, but I mean like they specifically moved there because of these people, and then they were gone. So you got to be careful why you move. And I know people saying, where do you want to raise your children? It's hard to say. There's pros and cons in both places. I don't know. I know most people watching are probably from America, and so you see that as America first, which I greatly respect, and I think you should. But if you've gone and lived in Germany, I think you'd probably see it a little different. You'd be like, it's not so easy. It's not so easy to say that America's just better, but
it is.
But it would be. It would be. I mean, it is. And like I go out to Omaha and I see all my friends, and come to Denver and see more of my friends, and it's just like, man, it is hard. And then the more children you have, the harder it is to travel. The more expensive it is. it's going to be longer and longer before, and that's hard. It is hard until we move. Yeah, right. Maybe next year. We'll see.
Maybe next year. But they still do boats. So you have to buy
boats.
like a bunch of plane tickets now, but it could be a lot more in the future. Can you like actually take a train to Spain and then get on a boat and come to
America? No, I think you'd be like a week on a ship. Oh man. Like with the cows.
Not possible.
How did they die again?
You're talking too much.
I am talking too much. I think I got it.
You got it. Okay. Oh yeah, this is a bummer. Stories like this happen.
Yeah, I poured myself into a traditional chapel, which went belly up 5 years later. I think that's not the norm. I think the norm is that they grow and grow and grow. Yeah. Right now, you guys have no, like, again, you go to Omaha, I talk with all these priests, and it's like, where are you? I'm in here, and now I'm in Maine, I'm in Texas, and I'm in Alabama, and I'm in Georgia, and I'm in Florida. And when I was in school, there were like 10 missions. I mean, that's exaggerating, but I mean, there weren't many. It's easily tripled, easily.
When we were growing up, right, how many parishes were there? I don't know, in Colorado or even in the United States, traditional Catholic.
Colorado would have been 4, probably, right?
But smaller, right?
Smaller.
Like I'd say probably the number.
Denver would have been the biggest.
Yeah, but still, like in our lifetimes, what is the traditionalism grown? Sedevacantism, probably 2x, 3x.
Yeah.
In 20 years.
I think so. Yeah. And it's going to keep growing. Because you see, I mean, the children, obviously, God willing, will grow it exponentially. So it is a growing thing. So again, those are the sad stories, but they're not the norm. I definitely don't think that's the case.
Yeah. Ain't gonna happen in Arkansas.
What's not going to happen in Arkansas?
Turning blue.
I don't know.
I hope it doesn't.
I hope it doesn't. I mean, no time soon, I think, but who knows? I mean, if all the Californians move from their state to Arkansas because they hate California, eventually could. I don't know. I mean, I hope not. I mean, I do think that our society is moving in the right direction. I think we hit rock bottom at COVID, it seems. And I think COVID, people were like,
I don't even think it hit rock bottom. I would rephrase that. I'd say COVID was the awakening, right? So everything had just been sliding. Wokeness just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And then COVID happened. And it was almost like, this is our opportunity to completely flip. Like I think Bishop Dolan used to call it the Great Reset or something like that, right? And instead, what happened, Americans didn't pull Germans and just say, okay, I guess this is how we're going to do things now. Yeah. They said, no. The parents started seeing, oh, this is what they're actually teaching in schools because the kids were on their laptops from home. And then, that's really why COVID is why Trump got elected. COVID is why we're taking this swing back to traditional masculinity. Yeah. I think.
Yeah, no,
I think it was.
So I guess you could say, you're right, though. I think
it was
rock
bad
bottom was maybe a little bit before. Yeah, I think you're right.
So COVID was rock bottom, but it was also the catalyst.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's a good question here of the MK Ultra. I actually know Father Trauner, at least was. So that's the uncle of the 2 Trauner brothers who were just ordained. He is in Budapest or right near Budapest. So that's obviously Hungary. So that's the one church I know of, and I think he probably has missions. So. Certainly, you should be able to find that I believe on the IMBC website. So that's Mater Boni Concilii. You can look that up online. You should be able to find parishes in Hungary from Father.
So there
Trauner.
are Sede parishes.
There is certainly one, unless that's changed. I mean, he was there within the last few years. He certainly should be still in Hungary. I met some of the parishioners out there too when we did a bike trip through Hungary. So yeah, I think there should be something out there, which is nice. Again, always expanding.
This is an interesting one we could talk about, right? The difference between holding to the old truths, the old school, and rejecting what you could call more liberal advances of the Pius XII papacy versus accepting them as from a legitimate pope, right? So you have like the New versus Old Holy Week. You've got the fast from midnight versus the 3-hour fast. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah,
without getting too political.
I try not to get too much into the 55 changes on here because I like a lot priests and the clergy from both sides of that battle. My own opinion is that it should be post 55 because it was promulgated by a true pope. Just my opinion. Again, I'm not going to die on that hill. I'm not going to fight anyone on it. And I absolutely believe if you want to go a stricter route, absolutely do it. 100%. You want to fast more, God will absolutely bless you for it. Period. End. Don't push it. Don't push it on other people. Don't act like I'm doing the fast from 1902. No, that's literally Pharisaical. That's like the definition of Pharisaical. So don't do that. If you want to fast more, that's a whole nother topic. I am going to be totally not Pharisaical, but very pompous. I did fast during Lent, like one day a week full fast,
like full fast,
full fast. I mean, water and whatnot, but it's really good for your health. I really highly recommend it. Anyone who wants to lose weight, wants to just kind of, because it reboosts your body. It really does. It like it kind of resets. It gives your body a chance to. It's hard, but it gives your body a chance to kind of fix itself. Anything that's going on, and you do that once a week. It's hard, especially working in a grocery store. Oh my goodness, it's really hard.
And specifically for the fast thing, right? When it was changed to 3 hours,
Mm-hmm.
it came with stipulations like you should give up other things, or you
Mhm.
should do additional. What are you doing?
I'm
to that
failing.
cigar?
I don't know.
Did I just give you a bad cigar?
No, you didn't. I'm just failing at it. I'm
That's
talking
okay.
too much.
But yeah, so the 3 hour fast, like if you have to do the 3 hour fast, you should still do other things to sort of make up for it, right? It wasn't just like a clear, we're no longer fasting from midnight. It
Mhm.
was, you are now allowed to only do the 3 hours. But so that's kind of different than Holy Week, right?
Yeah, I mean, and these are things you should talk with your priest about, obviously. And I mean, again, if you want to be stricter, it's always better.
And you might say the 3 hour
you
fast
personally.
was a touch of providence with all of the missions and everything
Mhm.
going on, right? How many people have to go to an evening mass because there's not a morning mass?
That's such
to be had?
that's such a good point. And that's something that, again, we always complain about these things just from the wrong view. Kind of we don't see what God had predetermined, what God had in mind, and how the popes are guided by the Holy Ghost. And we may not like all of it. We may think some of it's more liberal, but there's a reason for it. It was allowed for a reason. It was promulgated for a reason. I personally liked, just purely emotionally, the old Holy Week. I liked it. I grew up with that. We both did.
Uh-huh.
It's harder. It's bigger. It's grander. I like that. But I totally get why they changed it, and it was changed by a true pope. So that's my opinion. I would love if a new pope came and changed it. I would love that. I mean, I'm in favor of that. But again, we got to be really careful with that topic, because again, I think we got to remember what is our place. It's like I saw someone posting this, and like how you, and I think it was a semi-trap, but like how you hope for someone to come from a conclave. It's like that's not how that works. You don't hope for someone. You pray.
The Holy Ghost is guiding.
It's exactly right. The Holy Ghost is guiding that conclave and giving you a true pope. Not in this conclave, but you get my point. That you should not be like, please God, make it Cardinal Burke. That's not how it works. You should pray for God's guidance and God's will, and then let it happen. Now, in our times, we just got to pray for, I guess, the best outcome possible.
I like this one. This is maybe the hardest, the hardest thing to give up in Lent is bourbon. What do you think?
You're awesome, Bill.
Other than scotch.
Yeah. I don't drink a lot of whiskey in Germany. I have to say schnapps is more of the thing. Beer was actually pretty hard. I got to admit. I did.
So did you get up all alcohol or just?
Yeah.
Okay. I did too.
That was hard.
It's hard.
I missed the beer.
It makes you realize maybe you're an alcoholic.
Yeah.
But
true.
After a couple of weeks, you actually get used to it.
Yeah, you feel
and
good.
I did feel.
Like, man, I feel great. Why do I feel great?
I think it's worth it.
And you don't want to ask yourself that question really deeply, right? I gave up sugar and alcohol. I feel really good during Lent.
Yeah.
And I'm fasting. It's almost like the church knows what they're talking about in terms of fasting and stuff. It's actually good for you.
Yeah. Well, I've had some of, I think it was my mother-in-law, or I think it was my mother-in-law. She mentioned that the church absolutely knows what it is doing, because when she was 58, she thought, or was it 59? Whatever the cutoff is. I think
59.
59.
Yeah.
She was 59. She was fasting. It's like, this is fine. Like, I'm definitely going to keep fasting into my 60s. And then she turned 60 and was like, I cannot do this anymore. It was like, the church is wise.
Yep. Yeah,
Very
absolutely.
wise.
Yeah. That's a great thing about it. It always makes sense. The raw. I think it's the cigar that's making me a little. I don't smoke cigars very often.
It's a spliff. I put a little weed into it.
We
are in Colorado.
We are in Colorado.
Just joking.
When in Colorado, right?
Joking.
We're joking.
Weed is bad. Don't do
Someone's going to take that out. The Diamond Brothers are going to take that out. Kevin Davis.
Oh, so let's talk about the Diamond Brothers.
Smoker.
Not too much, but so you were in their video?
Yeah.
Like your face or your words?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. Podcast with Mario Dirksen. Really, like 2 seconds. It's just me saying, I'm going to pray for Pope Francis. I didn't say Pope Francis. I'm going to pray for his soul, I think is what I said.
Pray for Francis.
Right. And actually, it's an interesting question. Father Gecko, I don't know if you're still there or any other priest, but like the Diamonds are like, he is confirmed to be in hell, and you cannot pray for him.
Well, it's a good thing they're his judge. When he died,
exactly.
The Diamond Brothers were able to judge him.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah.
Here's another one that was hard to do.
Ooh, respect.
Gave up smoking.
Are you like a smoker though? Because if you're like
nicotine smoker,
if you're
like
then that's huge respect, because that would be really hard. Wow, respect.
I smoke like once a month, so
I
I didn't even bother giving it up.
I smoke like 2 or 3 times a year. That's probably why I'm kind of like.
Do I need to get you a bucket? And you're gonna throw
Probably
it?
should drink some water. No, I'm not gonna throw that.
Okay, good.
I almost said I'd chew tobacco like 3 times in my life.
Oh, that's intense.
Oh man, I did that one time
tobacco?
with my brother when I was pretty young, probably too young. Shh. Don't tell mom. I don't remember how old I was.
I
honestly.
never did underage drinking.
No, me neither. Of course not. And I remember we're sitting
chewing
in
tobacco.
The chewing tobacco. I'm sitting in a restaurant with my brother, and you know I have a dip in there. I'm like, yeah, I don't. What's the big deal?
Oh, really?
Yeah, I didn't get. And I stood up. Oh my!
So I put the dip in, and I could instantly. It was like,
No, I mean, I felt a little nauseous, but then I stood up. With I didn't throw up, but I probably should have. Oh, that was rough. That was no. I think I did it maybe 2 or 3 other times after. It's just so messy. Chewing tobacco is good.
Well, do you know how it works? There's little pieces of
Yeah,
fiberglass in it that cut into your skin and get the tobacco or the
Oh, it's like snuff.
yeah.
I've never done snuff.
Straight into your blood.
I almost did, but then I figured, I don't really want to cut up my nose inside.
Cut up your nose.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh,
I don't do cocaine either.
Yeah, I know. Someday.
Someday.
Next podcast.
Next podcast.
We're kidding. We're kidding, guys. We're kidding. We're just kidding.
You're gonna send everyone away. Do you want to talk feminism?
Let's see what he says.
Since on the subject of feminism, why do women follow they aren't married and they won't follow the Pope that they say is just a bad Pope?
I don't quite understand.
Well, yeah, it's missing some grammar there.
But when they aren't married?
Why do unmarried women follow the Pope? Okay.
Rephrase
Sorry,
that.
yeah, rephrase that, Commodus.
Drinking age in Germany is 16 for beer, 18 for hard alcohol. So my brother visited when he was turning 18 and he could drink, and he was pretty happy about it.
Yeah.
I think if you can be drafted in the military, I think you should be able to drink.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, all that coming with, everyone should do it moderately.
Priests in both world wars would fast well into the evening routinely. I'm good, but it's also probably not practical, right? You have priests have medical issues that are not able to do that, and so. Well,
that's again the question. Like, I mean, is it the rule, or is it how you're following it? I mean, if you can, look, guys, in Germany, you're not required to fast at all. There, like, Lent doesn't exist. You only have to.
That. I can't believe that. Really?
You have to fast 3 times a year. And fast and abstain on Ash Wednesday, Good Friday, and this is the crazy one. It's the eve of the Immaculate Conception, and the Immaculate Conception is not a holy day. So
strange.
Try to make sense of it. I don't really understand, but again, we'd still follow Lent because you should.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not that we have to. There's no law, but we should. Marijuana is not legal in Germany. No, not at all.
Well, that's something.
They're trying to push it.
Who's they? Like, is it
the good question.
Left or the libertarians or
the left?
Because in Colorado in particular, it wasn't even the left that was really pushing it. It was the libertarians.
Yeah. I think I maybe even voted pro. Yeah. I was 20.
I remember you talking to me about that.
And I was really unsure because I kind of looked at it like it's kind of like
how I remember the argument actually. You told me like, how is it different from alcohol?
And I still there's an argument for that in terms of how it affects the person.
But you can and should enjoy alcohol without getting drunk. You can't enjoy weed without getting high.
Generally,
right?
Agree.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
Like the purpose of smoking weed.
That's a good point.
I don't know.
And it stinks. And I think people are much more willing to drive with it. That's something I didn't really appreciate. That I think people are really willing to smoke and drive and less willing to drink and drive. I think seems like
Okay. So Commodus rephrased. Who do women that aren't married follow when they believe Bergoglio and the Vatican II imposters were popes, but don't follow them and say they are trad?
Who do they follow?
Taylor Marshall.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean Kevin Davis. They're probably like Kevin Davis is our who are the women in the Roman times who would tell everyone, what were they called? It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I don't know. You have to ask the women. Women in the chat.
Yeah, are there any unmarried women in the chat? Marijuana is worse for your brain. I think that's been scientifically proven. I mean, it's also been scientifically proven that alcohol is bad for you. But cheers.
Science is stupid.
America.
Freedom. Follow me, Commodus. With just your name, I'm not sure. I'm not sure Commodus was not a. I cannot think of a vocabulary. You know what? That's a funny thing. I talk a decent amount in German now. In Germany,
we'll just speak in German.
Oh, not after some scotch.
Okay.
I don't want to embarrass myself. I did that on the Young Girls podcast. Anyone wants to, you can go watch the Faith and what is it, Teens and Faith podcast. I forget. Anyway, I talked a little bit in German.
Yeah.
Any Germans would be listening like, ugh. But no, yeah,
No, we've been going almost an hour and a half.
Nice. Anyway, well, you guys give us a couple more questions and then we'll wrap it up.
Okay. And in the meantime, while we're waiting for that, how much longer are you stateside, and any plans that you're going to do while you're here?
6 weeks.
Besides shooting sometime in the next couple of days.
6 weeks in the States. We're going to Denver next. So anyone in Denver, hit us up. We're going to do volleyball, I think, next week.
Volleyball on Sunday.
So,
Mother's Day volleyball.
Yeah. So if anyone can play volleyball, come. If you can't, please don't come. Volleyball is ruined by people who can't play volleyball. Though I haven't played for like 2 years, so I'm sure I probably can't play volleyball.
Careful there.
No, it's like with the feminist topics. Like, I don't care. I'm gonna say whatever I want. America. And then we're going back to Omaha for a while, and we go to Minnesota for a week.
Minnesota. So you are seeing Minnesota. Okay.
Just but not like Sartell, not where the church is. We have a big house on a lake for a family reunion.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
Okay. And that'll be like late May?
That'll be starting June 8th.
Okay, so everything will be thawed, and the giant bird-sized mosquitoes will be out.
Exactly.
Okay.
I hope not. I hope we're just before the mosquitoes. Yeah. I don't know why anyone would actually want to live in
Here's a couple
Minnesota.
Questions. This is a good question because I don't know why you'd listen to us without Mario.
Good question. Yeah, Mario, if you're listening, when are you going to come on next? Yeah, it's a good question. I'm trying to get on the same guys, Mario and Louis and others, before the Conclave, which would have to be tomorrow or the next day. So I hope we'll see. Maybe I'll be in the same setup. Yeah, right. Maybe Eric will join that. That actually be cool.
No, I would just ruin it.
Or come on, and maybe Father Gecko will come on too. That'd be great. Otherwise, certainly we'll do a show after the papal election. They've already pretty much agreed to that, so they'll definitely come on soon. I know they're the best. I know people watch this channel mainly because of that. So we'll definitely do that soon. I would like to do one before because I want to do one talking about like Sarah, because everyone loves him. He's like the darling of the conservative Catholic, Novus Ordo, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So definitely I'd say subscribe to Novus Ordo watching, aka Catholic.com, because they will have material. Intro Ibo, Adultare Day 2.blogspot.com just had an article as well about it.
So now we're getting a lot of questions, so I'm going to go pretty quick here.
Right,
any nostalgia regarding Prussia?
Prussia. Well, okay, there's a really inside story about that I'm not going to get into. But no, absolutely not. Prussia was very, very Protestant, and I'm very happy that Prussia no longer exists.
Okay. How about who would win in a fight between a chicken and an older house cat? I'm going with the cat myself.
I think I gotta go with the cat.
Okay.
Chickens can be pretty nasty, though.
They can be. How many religious do you have in your family?
I have a priest brother, Father Philip Marie, a brother, so brother Simon Marie, and then two nuns, Sister Mary Evangelina, Sister Maria Antonia, Sister Antonia.
She's not the important one.
Yeah, I know her name's Sister Antonia, but I always forget where the Marie goes.
This one's a loaded question, I think. How do we make mass conversions massive growth? I don't think we make that happen.
Yeah, right, exactly.
We speak the truth. We pray for it.
Yeah.
And we get as many parishes out to as many places as you can. I mean, that's, I think, been a winning philosophy for the CMRI. If you build it, they will come. 100%. And so
support your priests, support your nuns, and I mean, really support your podcast. Ding, Patreon link. Anyway, no, yeah, I mean, just live a good life. I mean, have lots of children, teach your children how to be good Catholics, support your religious. And I mean, I'm sure you know this too. Every now and then, rarely, you will have the chance where someone's going to ask you a question. And it could be one every 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to be ready for it. You've got to be ready. If they say, why do you wear a scapular? You got to be ready for it. It may happen once in your life. But that time is really key. And so you have to know your faith well enough. You have to know your catechism, and you don't have to know about the thesis, guys. You need to know about scapulars. You need to know about why you make the sign of the cross. Catholicism.
So
basics.
I was mowing the lawn at our parish down here, Mary Help of Christians, and a guy came. He was riding his bike, and he stopped me. He's like, "So I hear you're sedevacantist. Like, how do you justify that?" And like, we had a nice it was like 90 degrees, and I just wanted to finish so I could go home. But we talked for probably a full 20, 25 minutes on
that's awesome
sedevacantism. And I don't think he converted. I never saw him again. But you'd plant those seeds.
Totally.
You never know.
Be ready for it. Yep.
You never know. Does it change your opinion of the SSPX knowing their Polish bishop holds the same opinion? That's good for him. The SSPX does not. So.
I've heard there are plenty of SSPXers who privately hold the opinion, and I'm sorry, no. Yeah. I don't want to get personal about it, but if you know you're in a group that does it wrong, you shouldn't be in the group. So
yeah,
sorry,
JJ. Yeah. Okay, I'm cutting you off. We're not going to talk about my cars in the Autobahn. This is a good one.
Good try, though.
From Dominique, 1 gorilla versus 100 men. 100 Apparently, men. This has been 100 men. I would go with 1 gorilla.
No.
How is a man?
Okay, wait. What kind of men?
So
modern men.
I don't care. So like even muscular men.
No, oh my gosh, no. I'm gonna get the gorilla. Okay.
I assume it's no weapons. How are you gonna kill a gorilla?
Oh, if you have 100 men, you just dog
How are you gonna
it or something. I mean, I'll grab
while
that.
It rips you up.
I'll grab that gorilla by its throat and choke him out. After another scratch.
Right, so something Kevin and I disagree on. I'm going gorilla.
Yes or no? Yeah, right.
Okay, I think that's all the questions. We are at 2:30 Mountain Time. Nice. Should we call it?
Yeah, let's call it. Everyone, we appreciate it. Maybe if you all loved it so much, maybe we'll kind of try to. I don't know. We don't have too many days to do it.
Smoke and drink again.
It'd be cool. We'll ask our wives if we're allowed. No, wait. We're gonna tell our wives. Yeah, we're gonna tell our wives. Women,
this is America.
We're gonna go and smoke and drink and do a podcast. You're gonna like it. And no, it's seriously, guys. This has been more people than I expected, and we really appreciate it. It's been fun. It's been fun.
Yeah, it's been great.
It. Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers. And thank you to everyone in the podcast comment section. Like, share, subscribe, all of that stuff. If you want to support us, Patreon, just search Catholic Family Podcast. Again, there's a lot of stuff. My parents right now are in Spokane, and Spokane has a gigantic library of church history that needs to be looked into and copied and reported on. My dad wants to do this whole series, like a Ken Burns style series of the history of the Catholic Church and the history of the world in a way, kind of like our culture in the last 100 years. But it's going to take a lot of work, a lot of time, and well, my dad has a full-time job. So just saying, if there's anyone with a lot of money out there, this money is not going
Give it to your priest.
I mean, maybe it's only going partially to cigars and scotch. Mostly,
it's not.
I'm kidding. It's not going to cigars and scotch. It's going to providing more content. And that's what we want. We want to spread the word because, again, guys, this conclave is going to change things one way or another, no matter what it is. If it's a conservative, then we're going to have to fight harder. If it's a liberal, then we're going to have to really push and say, guys, come here, come to us. Come on. We have the faith. We have the faith. We have the faith. So definitely do that. Support us, support your priests, all of that stuff. And we will see you all next time.
God bless.